Greetings. Today what I want to do is show you how to work with gradients. As you can see, I have a couple already on this design, and this is where the swatches I made before are going to become really helpful because they're all the colors I've already used. So for example, let me show you what's going to happen here. If I click on this lovely green down here, and for you, actually your default swatch might be white to black, and yours is probably going to be linear. So whatever your last gradient was, that's usually what pops up. Let me show you how this works. Let's say I obviously want this to be green, although actually I kind of like that red, I have to say, although I think I'd like it to go in another direction. So for example, I've got my swatches here, and the hard way to do this is I could just double click here, grab another color. Make sure, by the way, this says RGB. Otherwise, it's going to just, if it does this, you're going to be like, where are all the colors, Mrs. Silver? So just click on this and just switch it to RGB. So what you're going to do is you can play around with these a little bit, and you can have different colors. So you can add a color. So for example, if I grab this and add some green, that looks terrible, but just to show you, and if you want to get rid of it, you hit the delete key and it's gone. And so, whoops. So I'm going to grab these and do something like that. So let's say I want this to go from like a red down to like dark this way. Well, I could do this the hard way where I change this and 90 degrees and there it is. And that actually doesn't look that bad. What I prefer to do is to click on the gradient tool and this shows up. And first of all, if I hover over the top, I get this little round thing, and I think it doesn't work at the bottom. So it only happens where I have the square nodule at the top, but I can change the angle of the gradient, right? So if I want it to be this way because the sun's coming more from this direction, I can do that. If I want to, I can change the positioning of the individual colors. And I really like doing it on the actual design itself because it just makes more sense rather than typing in an angle number up here. So whatever works best for you. You know, if I wanted to make this radial, I get that, and I can actually manipulate the colors this way as well. So for example, you know, I might find something like this. Well, my personal opinion, that doesn't look better, but, and I can extend this out a little bit. But if I do that, it's kind of crazy looking. So you can see you can have really profound impacts on something and what it looks like pretty quickly. That looks kind of cool actually. So maybe I'll keep that. But the goal is to have a different gradient for each of your shapes. So you're not going to leave anything solid anymore. That's what I'm trying to say. So make it easy for yourself. Go ahead and use those swatches. So watch how that works. Grab this, and all of a sudden I've got two colors that I already had in my design. So when I put this in here, it's not like, oh, it's a brand new design. It's something that was already kind of there. And I can use what's the presets that are on here, and there's even more ways to pull up swatches that I can show you a little bit later. But for now, that's pretty much the trick. And I definitely don't want radial on this. I'll make that linear. I'm going to want it to go in a direction, so I can do that. And there we go. So that looks pretty cool. So that's basically how gradients work. You can use this tool over here, and you can use the gradient tool here. Just make sure that you're on fill and not stroke, because if you're at stroke, it's going to make the gradient a stroke, and that's, or the stroke a gradient, and that's just really confusing.